very good. Now, we do have extra seats too, so if some of you want to make your way over here, we can do that. And then, of course, while the speakers are up here, since the mic is directed in one way, if we could ask to try to keep the side conversations down, which is always a hard thing to ask people of political persuasion, is to do that. This next person I'm proud to introduce you to is Chris Sununu. He is the executive counselor currently serving us. Chris Sununu is no stranger to the New Hampshire politics. I guess that would be the biggest understatement we could say today. Having grown up in the family of Governor and Mrs. John Sununu and his brother, former Senator John Sununu, Chris is serving as our area representative to the New Hampshire Executive Council and believes that we need an active voice in Concord. He has been fighting for spending cuts and less government intrusion in our private life. Chris is the owner and director of Sununu Enterprises, a small business and strategic consulting group in Exeter. He's an environmental engineer and graduate of MIT, which pretty much makes him one of the smartest people in this room. Grew up in Salem and currently lives in Newfield with his wife, son, and daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Sununu.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you, everybody. Incredible turnout. Absolutely, always a great time of the year, especially in an election season. See so many really familiar faces, friendly faces, and it's just a terrific way to kick off the political season on the Seacoast. First and foremost, one rule I have learned is you never say a word without first introducing former Councilor Ruth Griffin from the Seacoast, who represented us for so long and so well. Great to see you, Ruth. I definitely would not be here today if not for the great work Ruth did. I have 6 minutes, which means, and I know Diane Bitter very well, which means I'm going to give you 5:59 or less and get out of here. One thing that occurred to me this week, I was scanning some websites, some county GOP websites, and I was looking at their issues pages and things like that. And you know what I kept seeing? I kept seeing issues that talked about Governor Lynch and his budget and his problems with all the taxes that the Democrats put in. It was 18 months out of date. It was a great message for 2010, but what it told me was, are we really ready for 2012? And, you know, 2010 was an absolute wonderful election for the Republican Party. Absolute overhaul. We can talk about it all day. But let's talk about what it was and why it was successful. Because I think we need to look at what we did in 2010, what the differences are today, so we don't take anything for granted. And the thing that really sticks with me, it's the grassroots. We all know New Hampshire politics is only successful with a strong grassroots campaign. You can't put a flood of money in here, you can't just hit the airwaves. You gotta get out there, you gotta shake hands and do all those things to energize your constituency, to really get your base out there. Well, what happened in 2010? 2010 really wasn't a get out the vote year, but subliminally it was. And why was that? Because we had a dozen terrific candidates, from the Senate to the governor's race to 2 congressional races to the councilor's race. But let's think about what that did. You had a dozen folks out there that each of us could get behind in one way or another. And maybe we didn't agree completely with the other candidates, but it pushed us hard over the summer months. And that's something we don't really have this year. We have a great governor's race, there's no doubt about it, a great primary with 2 terrific candidates. But we have two in the second district with Charlie and Dennis. We have Frank running in the first. I don't know if anyone's running against Frank. I'll have to apologize. But the point is, we don't have these great, as many great galvanizing candidates running in the primaries. And what that did is it forced us to go out and do the work in the summer months. It forced us to get excited. We put all our political energy in up through September, and we weren't going to sit back and just let November happen. We were galvanized, energized, and it drove us right to November, and it was a wipeout, and it was terrific. But let's not forget, we don't necessarily have that this time around. So we have to do something extra. We still have to go out and get those constituencies. Grassroots in New Hampshire, I see about 80% of the base vote out there is going to come out. And what each of those individual candidates back in 2010 did, we all brought about 10% of folks that traditionally might not have come out. Our friends, our family, our co-workers, people that might not have typically come out on the Republican side. They knew us, we talked to them, we did the door-to-door as primary candidates, we did the work, and we got them galvanized in September, and then they came out in November. But where's that 10 or 15% going to be? If we don't have those big primary candidates galvanizing them, it's up to us, a lot of the elected officials, a lot of the folks without primaries, to still get out there and do the work. On behalf of those folks that aren't out there doing it, we don't have as big of a front team. In a way, it's bigger because a lot of us are elected now, But we cannot take that for granted. We still have to get out there and talk. We still have to go door to door. We still have to get the passion that we had in 2010 carried into 2012. And more importantly, you'll all be out there, there's no doubt about it. I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to your neighbors and your co-workers and all those other folks that came out in 2010. What is the message we're going to send to them to get them out in 2012? Because if we don't do our work at the grassroots level, it's going to hurt us all the way up to that presidential race. And as we all know, for those of you who don't, our 4 little electoral votes in New Hampshire are going to be pivotal for Governor Romney come November. I mean, really, really critical. They always are. Nobody ever believes it, but they always are. So it's going to be a very tight race. It's going to be very tough for us to get those messages out. And we all know our constituencies. We know what our friends want to hear. We know the things that are important to our neighbors. We know the things that are important to our co-workers or our businesses. We got to find those messages. And we got to make them simple and easy to understand, get them passionate behind it. Hopefully they come out in September, but more importantly, it really galvanizes. They don't get brainwashed by all the nonsense and the big airwaves, the big money over the airwaves that's going to come in between September and November, and we keep them galvanized and they come out in November. It's a very hard thing to do, and we just can't take it for granted. And that's my biggest concern. What is that 10 or 15% that really came out for us in 2010? How are we going to get them back out? Because that's what's going to turn it for us. Look, the Seacoast is going to be very strong. I represent the 35 cities and towns from Salem and Wyndham out to the Seacoast, up to Dover and Durham. I have no idea where my district is next time around. It will be the Seacoast, of course, but some things are going to change. If there's a state senator or a House of Rep member in here that could let me know where my district is, don't hesitate to come by. But the point is that wherever we are, we're from all over the Seacoast and all over New Hampshire. I see friends out up here from the White Mountains. It's great to see them down here, but we got to carry that message home, and we got to stay energized. It's early May. So we got to keep that energy up all the way through August, all the way to the September primaries, and hopefully all the way to November. So thank you guys very much. Get out there. You can find my email or my cell phone numbers on the website. My email's on the website. I'm a very easy guy to find. All of us are, in terms of the elected officials here. Use us. Use us as sounding boards. Ask what you can do. The campaigns are going to be exciting, but we really need you guys out there helping us. Thank you guys so much.
Chris, you may want to listen to this nice introduction and actually have to be one of those senators you need to find out your district.
GrokTV.